Welcome to my channel. I'm Tiffany, a retired librarian turned homeschool mom. And in this video, we're going to look at an interesting little book. So this is The Irish Cinderlad by Shirley Climo and illustrated by Loretta Karumsky. Mispronouncing things here, sorry. But you can look it up. So this is an interesting little story. It is not a retelling of Cinderella. It is slightly different, apparently, according to the notes in the back of this book. There are various different renditions of the Cinderlad. This is not Cinderella. This is kind of like a male Cinderella, but the story is a tad bit different because, again, it's a boy. So, in this story, we have a young boy whose mother feeds him. He grows very large feet. Oh, that's the important thing. He becomes a very young, good, strong boy. Then his mother dies, and his dad's a peddler. So he eventually comes back with a new wife, and I think whether it's 3 sisters who like to tattle on him. There are 3 older sisters, and they tattle on him. Eventually, she sends him out to manage his father's 3 cows. So he becomes basically he's a cow herder or a shepherd of sorts. So he takes the cows out, and his stepmother feeds him very, very little, like crusts of bread. And then one day he hears rumbling, he climbs the tree, and in comes this white-faced, kind of red-eared bull. So he, snorting and wanting to attack him, he scratches its head and becomes friends with it. And he tells it a lot of his problems and how his stepsisters are always spying on him, and his stepmother is trying to starve him. So the bull talks to him, and he's not surprised because he suspected this bull was different. It's like, pull a cloth out of my ear, and he does, and there's a huge feast. So he's able to eat and then refuse the bread that his stepmother gives him. This happens multiple times. Eventually, she sends one of the stepsisters to spy on him, and she comes back. Sorry, it's been a long day. I have a 3-year-old. I went hiking with my husband today, and it's still a little hot. This is being filmed in October of 2022. Yeah, it's still in the 90s, low 90s. So, but let me wipe my eyes here. All right, on to the story. Put my glasses back on, and no, I cannot see the camera without these things. I am nearsighted. I need my glasses to see. Okay, moving on. So he's sleeping by the hearth. He overhears them saying they're going to butcher this bull. Because, of course, they are. He gets up early the next morning and goes and, please ignore the cat here, tells the bull. So he goes with the bull, and they're like, okay, we're promising. And then they stop at the edge of this forest, and the bull says, okay, I have to stop, and I have to fight this other bull. He's like, what? You're going to die. And the bull's like, yeah, just do as I say, and when I'm dead, take my tail as a belt. So he does. And he takes the cloth out of the bull's ear and covers it. Now it's empty. He covers the bull with it, and he's walking along with the bull's tail as a belt. He's like, he told him, it's like, whenever you need me, use this. So he's walking along. He runs into a man on a horse. He says, I'm in need of, basically, a cow herder for my donkey and cows and something else. Was it sheep or something? So he goes along with this guy. Again, he's barefoot because he has giant feet. And basically, the guy says, don't go over this wall because there's a giant there. So he's taking these animals out. Once they've eaten everything, he goes and knocks over the wall, runs into the giant, and uses the belt to essentially strangle the giant. And the giant basically, leave, give me your shoes, and that's an important thing, give me your shoes, and basically go away, which is what he does. So time passes. Now he has shoes, and living in the cowshed, he has a decent life, and one day his master printing says, do not go anywhere today, just stay home, because every so often they have to sacrifice a fair maiden to a dragon, and this year it's the king's daughter. Well, he takes the donkey, he goes, he fights off the dragon, he uses the bell to trap its mouth shut, the thing sinks and takes the bell with him and disappears in the sea. He's rescued her. He brings her back. Everybody's cheering. His stepsisters show up calling for him. He gets on the donkey and runs away, leaving one of his boots behind. Yeah, this is a similar Cinderella story. So the princess sets out to find him. So she sends a messenger searching for everybody. And they're stuffing things in the shoes, but nobody can fit in the shoes because they're shoes of a giant. Until a year passes, and they come to the little cottage, and the master tries it on. It doesn't fit. And then he said, "Why don't you have my cow herder do it?" It's like the messenger's like, "What?" He's like, "Why not?" And of course he fits it, and he's like, "I have the other shoe." And then he returns to the town in a fancy horse and is married off to the princess. So that is the end of this story. It is very, very interesting, and it's a bit different than Cinderella because there's no fancy dresses. The magical thing isn't a fairy godmother, it's a ball. Not a comet. It's very interesting. Well, it has some interesting illustrations. The illustrations are very good. Reminds me a bit of the style of another book that I covered, which is another female Cinderella story, which called Princess Furball. So you have him. There's the bull with the white face, and he fights off the giant. Kind of cool pictures here. Him in the boots, and he has the sword. He also takes the sword from the giant. Goes to town. Here's the princess. He fights off the dragon. You got the dragon. Richard. So, and then she's holding on to the boot. There are the stepsisters wanting him back. He runs away. Various different people are trying on the boot. Obviously, they don't fit. And then this shy young Cinderlad marries the princess. And that's kind of the end of the story. And it's very, very cute. And then there's an author's note in the back that tells you that this is not an original story. She does cite where she got, this is a shortened adaptation. So I'm sure there's more adventures going on here. And that it talks a little bit about how the Irish bards were second only to the king until the English came by and banned them from speaking their own language. But again, it's a very interesting story. I mean, there's references to longer stories in the back. There is an author's note there. And it's a good little fairy tale, particularly if you're studying Irish folklore. Or Cinderella stories, which, yeah, I did an entire thing of some different Cinderella stories back in September of 2022. So if you want to check those out, there's Cinderella stories there. But this is a good piece of Irish folklore, something I like to cover occasionally, particularly in springtime around St. Patrick's Day or May, basically springtime. Usually sometimes also, St. Patrick's Day in March, when you think of spring coming, as most people are looking forward to spring, except for those who live in the desert, because spring means summer, summer means hot. Again, I'm filming in October. It's finally cooling down, kind of, sort of. It's still getting to the 90s. It's still very hot, and then it's still hot for us. But nonetheless, great story. Particularly, you could read this aloud to your younger children, but as you can see, it does have longer print, so it does take a while. It's not that long. Let's see how many pages there are. No, it's not giving me page numbers. But again, there's a lot of print here. So it's a good kind of introduction, again, if you're looking at Irish folklore or different, in this case, male Cinderella stories. So I'd love to actually read something other similar. I may bring in more Cinderlad stories at a later date. Certainly something to look at for 2024, because as of this filming, I have 2023 planned out. unless I'm going to add a few things. So that's the end of this video. If you like what you see, be sure to like and subscribe. Again, I did a whole bunch of regular Cinderella stories that you can check out. They should be under a Cinderella video list. So I cover stories like this. I cover folklore. I cover fiction. I'm currently covering 2023 is a big year of book series for me. So I'm covering The Princess Diaries, the Diaries, her spin-off series, which is the Diaries of the Middle School Princess, which I'm working on now. Two To Warm Me Here series, the Song of the Lioness Quartet and the Immortals Quartet. I have previously covered her Circle of Magic Quartet and Circle Opens, as well as The Will of the Empress. So those were earlier videos that I have done. I'm covering the Guardians of Ga'Hoole series this year. Then I'm going to be covering another Meg Cabot book series, which I have not touched yet. As of this filming, most of the Princess Diaries, except for a few short stories, are done and posted, as is everything else except for this Meg Cabot thing. And then I'm going back to Catherine Lasky near the end of the year. That's the author of the Guardians of Ga'Hoole, which is owls. I'm going to be doing her wolves, and then the year will finish off and move into 2024 with the polar bears. So lots of book series, along with, of course, stories like this and different cultural stories and other different fictional stories, as well as educational films, fun films, as well as some travel stuff if I can get in there, more educational, secular educational stuff, because I have a 3-year-old, so we're not there yet. I'm not reviewing curriculums quite yet. It's a few. I may start that when she's 4. We'll see. It's something to think about. But by the time you guys see this, she'll be a little over 3.5. At the time I'm filming this, she's not even quite 3.5. So she's still 3. But again, if you like what you see, be sure to check out the rest of the channel. I have a good library already set, and I have a lot more planned and a lot more already posted and working on 2023 here. Usually I have most of January and February, April already done, I think, or maybe March. We're working on it. So thank you, like and subscribe, and leave a positive comment if you have one. Thank you.